You think if the Earth stopped spinning, everything would just gently float up into the air. That is the sweetest lie in physics. The truth is, right now, you are clinging to a giant rock, spinning through the darkness of space at a speed of 1,000 miles per hour, or about 1,600 kilometers per hour. If this machine suddenly slammed on the brakes at your very next heartbeat, everything on the surface would not stop. Inertia would instantly turn your body, this house, and all of humanity into supersonic bullets shooting straight toward the east. Continents would shatter, oceans would rise up into walls of doom. No one would even have time to scream, because the storm of air tearing through your eardrums is moving faster than sound itself. This is not an apocalypse falling from the stars. This is the day the Earth crushes itself. You used to think that if the Earth stopped spinning, we would gently float into the air. What a naive illusion. Gravity still pins you to the ground, but what finishes you off is inertia, the invisible meat grinder of the universe. When the core of the planet slams on the brakes, everything on the surface keeps going. It is like you are sitting in a supercar, rushing at 1,000 miles per hour, which is about 1,600 kilometers per hour, wearing no seatbelt and crashing head-on into a solid rock wall. Instantly, entire megacities, forests, and your very own body are hurled to the east at supersonic speeds. You are torn apart before your brain can even register the pain. And the invisible air you are breathing, it immediately turns into a supersonic wall of pressure, a giant wind saw as thick as concrete, scraping the entire surface of the continents completely bare. Reinforced concrete evaporates into dust. Every remnant of civilization is wiped out into a blur on the bedrock in just a tenth of a second. If the continents are flattened into wastelands, the oceans are the greatest scythes of purging. Billions upon billions of tons of seawater, which is roughly the same in metric tons, simply cannot hit the brakes. Obeying their massive inertial mass, they are ripped from the continental shelves and rise up into pitch-black walls thousands of feet high, or about several kilometers high. Imagine the entire mass of the Pacific Ocean gathering into a suspended mountain of water, roaring as it crashes down on the eastern shores of every continent. It does not knock. It chews up megacities, washing away every mountain in its path. A ruthless, mindless fury cleanses all of humanity's millennia-old heritage, burying everything in a silent tomb. But drowning at the bottom of the ocean is still a mercy. Look up at the sky. It is no longer a peaceful blue. The sky is on fire. The atmosphere is not securely attached to the Earth's crust. When the ground violently halts, billions of tons of air, which is about the same in metric tons, keep screaming forward. The devastating friction between the supersonic atmosphere and the stationary rocky surface generates an unimaginable amount of heat. The air around you boils. The sky churns with massive firestorms, glowing the blood-red color of a massacre. The very oxygen that once nurtured us now turns into a sealed incinerator. The Earth is baked inside its own atmosphere. Any creature, no matter how deep it burrows, that survives the wall of wind and the great flood will be roasted alive. We are trapped on a blazing, lonely planet, screaming as it burns its own flesh away in the middle of a silent universe. You think surviving the initial disaster is a privilege? No, it is a prolonged death sentence. When this machine of destiny stops spinning, the lush green planet that nurtured us will shed its skin, turning into a freak of physics, a sealed prison with no way out. First, look at the oceans. Have you ever wondered why seawater pools at the equator? It is because of the Earth's centrifugal spin. But now, that rotation is dead. The balance is torn apart. Billions upon billions of tons of water, or about the same in metric tons, are ruthlessly dragged by gravity toward the two poles. You will witness the most terrifying mass migration in history. All of North America, Europe, and northern Russia are plunged into a black abyss. The most brilliant civilizations are swallowed by two new superoceans, cold and incredibly dense. A place where sunlight can never penetrate, and right at the equator, as the water recedes, a giant skeleton rises up. The birth of the Death Continent, a massive, monolithic strip of land, deformed and jagged, wrapping tightly around the Earth's belly. a place where the deepest trenches at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean expose their hideous faces to the cosmic light for the first time in 4 billion years. But that light is now a curse. The dance of day and night is officially dead. Half the planet is trapped forever under the scorching eye of the Sunday. There is no sunrise, there is no sunset, only an infinite oven. The land cracks into pieces of broken pottery, jungles burst into flames, the depleted oceans turn into stark white salt deserts. Temperatures skyrocket past all biological limits, cooking every living cell under the heat of hundreds of degrees Fahrenheit, or roughly equivalent to hundreds of degrees Celsius. But what if you are flung to the other half of the globe? The horror wears a pitch-black color. Welcome to the dark ice age, a place where the dawn never breaks. Temperatures plummet uncontrollably to the most brutal depths of space. The seas freeze into massive, colorful blocks of glass, piercing all the way to the bottom. The freezing cold crushes everything. Even the air around you cannot bear it. Oxygen and carbon dioxide freeze solid, fluttering down like toxic snowflakes. The earth is split into two cruel halves, a blazing hellscape and an eternally frozen underworld. You start to despair and think of an escape. You run to the Terminator line, the fragile divider between light and shadow. You think that is the only place with a mild enough temperature to survive? Another deadly, naive thought. The collision between a blistering pan of fire and an extremely cold ice vault creates the most insane pressure currents in the solar system. That boundary is not a sanctuary. It is an ecological slaughterhouse. A place where eternal superstorms and colossal tornadoes with the power to tear apart the sky constantly scream and ravage the land. They never dissipate. Not a single organism or spaceship could hold its ground in this land of endless wrath. And finally, the most ruthless killing blow does not come from the ground. It strikes from above. When the Earth's liquid iron core halts, the massive dynamo incubating the planet instantly flatlines. The magnetic shield, the very thing that has sheltered humanity from the fury of the cosmos for billions of years, crumbles. Our planet is stripped entirely of its protective skin, and the universe out there has never known the concept of mercy. Solar radiation storms and cold cosmic rays crash straight down to the surface. The sky glows with haunting, magnificent auroras, but it is a dance of death. Invisible radiation will pierce through every bunker, shredding the DNA structure of any remaining spark of life. Our once lush green planet is now just a colossal microwave, silently scorching everything inside. A suspended, soulless ruin, drifting eternally in the planetary graveyard of the stars. But the most brutal secret is still lurking down deep. You forgot a heartless law. The Earth was never a perfect sphere. It bulges at the equator. When the machine stops, the tyrant known as gravity forces this planet to snap its own bones, crushing everything to shrink down into a perfect sphere. The entire tectonic crust detonates, all at once. Tens of thousands of volcanoes simultaneously rip open the Earth, bleeding out veins of blazing magma. The camera angle pulls back slowly into the endless darkness. The Earth is no longer a blue marble of life. Right before your eyes is a giant, monstrous eye. One half cracked and glowing red with lava, the other half encased in a dead black iris of ice. It is silent, suspended, deaf, and blind, staring blankly at the sun forever. Not a single cry, no more pity. There is only the eternal silence of a cosmic coffin. The machine is officially powered down. The truth is, we are just dancing on a blind roulette wheel. Every piece of heritage, every proud dream of humanity is actually just clinging to a mindless, spinning force of physics. The universe is far too vast, and it simply does not care at all. Right now, look out your window and cherish that fake piece, because it could absolutely shatter at any given ticking second. But imagine a different scenario. What if tomorrow the Earth machine does not stop, but suddenly spins twice as fast? How would centrifugal force tear everything apart? That nightmare will be revealed in the next video. If you were forced to choose your own end, burning to death under the frying pan of the sun, or freezing to death in the eternal night, which is the less painful release? Leave your verdict down in the comments. Do not forget to hit subscribe and turn on the bell so we can sink deep together into the most chilling, dark corners of space. Because out there, the silence is always waiting.